In the world of off-road, where only the toughest machines survive, the Honda CRF450X was once dismissed. Just a motocross bike dressed in a bit of enduro gear, nothing more. But then, it entered the Baja 1000. The race from hell, swallowing riders and crushing even the fiercest machines. And the CRF450X didn't just survive. It dominated for nearly a decade, from being overlooked to becoming the king of the desert. This is the story of the Honda CRF450X. By 2005, Honda knew the off-road world was shifting. Riders weren't satisfied with pure motocross anymore. They wanted more, a machine that could race, but also endure. A bike that could take you across punishing trails, endless miles, and still come back ready for more. The CRF450R was already a weapon on the motocross track. Fast, aggressive, brutal. But on long trails, it was unforgiving, too sharp, too single-minded. It wasn't built for the deserts of Baja or the punishing endurance rides spreading across America. So Honda made a bold move. They took the heart of the CRF450R and reshaped it. Longer gear ratios, a sturdier frame. Suspension tuned for rocks, sand, and hours in the saddle. They added lights, a bigger fuel tank. Details that meant survival when the ride stretched far past the checkered flag. Because in the mid-2000s, off-road culture was exploding. Baja racing was drawing crowds. Trail riding was becoming a weekend ritual across the American West. Riders needed a partner that could do it all, compete with fury, yet endure with patience. The CRF450X was Honda's answer. Not just a race bike, not just a trail bike, but something in between. A machine built to prove that endurance could be every bit as thrilling as speed. It was the beginning of a legend. To make this machine real, Honda went back to the drawing board. They took the heart of the CRF450R, but shaped it into something very different. At the core sat a 449 cubic centimeter four-stroke, single overhead camshaft engine, liquid-cooled. Not tuned for screaming high revs like its motocross cousin, but for torque, low and mid-range punch, the kind of power you need when you're crawling over rocks or blasting through deep sand for miles on end. The gearbox told the same story. 5 wide ratio gears, longer legs than the motocross bike, built not for a 10-lap sprint, but for hours in the saddle chasing horizons that never seemed to end. Its frame was aluminum, rigid, strong, yet lighter than the steel skeletons of old, designed to take the abuse of the desert without weighing the rider down. Suspension came straight from Showa, long travel, tuned to soak up punishment, whether it was sharp stones, endless whoops, or the bone-rattling washboard of Baja. But Honda didn't stop there. They gave it lights, front and rear, a larger fuel tank, a full electrical system. Because this wasn't just a racer anymore. It was a long-distance warrior. That was the philosophy. Bulletproof, simple to work on, hard to kill. A machine that could take you deep into nowhere and bring you back again. Every piece of its design whispered the same truth. This wasn't just motocross with extras. This was a purpose-built enduro, engineered to endure. But the true test of the CRF450X wasn't in the showroom. It was in the desert. The Baja 1000, 1,000 miles of pure punishment. Across the scorched sands of Mexico, through jagged rocks, dry riverbeds, and endless dust. A race so brutal, it broke riders. It buried machines. For decades, it was known as the Hell Run. And that was where the CRF450X came alive. From 2006 to 2015, it became nearly unstoppable. Year after year, it crossed the finish line first. Not once, not twice, but again and again, building a dynasty in the most unforgiving race on earth. It wasn't just speed, it was endurance, reliability, the ability to take abuse mile after mile, long after competitors had faltered. The CRF450X didn't just survive Baja, It owned it. Names like Johnny Campbell became forever tied to the machine. Legends who rode it into history, proving that when man and machine moved as one, the desert could be conquered. For nearly a decade, rivals lined up with their best. KTM, Yamaha, Kawasaki, all came to challenge the crown. But time and again, they were left chasing dust. And with each victory, the legend grew. The CRF450X was no longer just a motorcycle. It was the king of Baja, the desert's chosen weapon. In those years, one truth became undeniable. If you wanted to survive Baja, you needed a Honda. What happened on the racecourse didn't stay there. It spilled into everyday riding. In America, especially out west, the CRF450X became a trusted companion. Riders called it a workhorse, a warrior mule, the kind of machine you could load with miles of trail, and it would keep going long after others had broken down. Weekend riders chose it for long desert runs. Hardcore enduro fans pushed it through punishing mountain trails. Some even transformed it into adventure rigs, adding racks, lights, bigger tanks, turning the race-bred Honda into a traveling partner. Its reputation was built on 3 words: durable, simple, reliable. You didn't need to be a factory mechanic to keep it running. Change the oil, clean the filter. The bike did the rest. That meant seasoned pros trusted it, and so did newcomers who just wanted something they could count on. In Australia, the story was the same. Vast, open land, harsh, unforgiving terrain. Riders needed machines that wouldn't quit halfway across nowhere. The CRF450X earned their respect the same way it had in Baja, by refusing to die. Soon its name spread far beyond the desert and the outback. Forums lit up, clubs formed. Around the world, off-road communities began treating the CRF450X not just as a motorcycle, but as a symbol. The symbol of endurance, the bike that simply would not stop. Every legend has its golden years. For the CRF450X, that era ran from 2008 to 2017. These were the machines tied directly to Baja dominance. The years when the bike wasn't just winning, it was setting the standard. Riders began calling it the legendary CRF450X, a model so trusted, so proven, that it became the benchmark against which others were judged. What made this generation special wasn't flashy tech. It was refinement. The formula was already right: strong engine, long travel suspension, rugged frame. By 2008, Honda had tuned it to near perfection. Year after year, the bike delivered. Reliable starts, reliable finishes, reliable victories. And riders knew it. Sales reflected that trust. Across deserts, mountains, and trails, these models carried countless riders, pros and amateurs alike, through the toughest conditions imaginable. Ask most veterans today, and they'll point to this era as the high watermark. Then came 2019, a new frame, fuel injection, slimmer, lighter, sharper. On paper, it was progress. In practice, it was evolution. Modern, yes, but in the eyes of loyal fans, not quite the same. Something about the 2008 to 2017 bikes felt more unshakable, more battle-tested. That's the thing about legends. They aren't always the newest or the fastest. They're the ones that prove themselves time after time until their reputation hardens into fact. For the CRF450X, those years between 2008 and 2017 will forever be remembered as the true peak. The years when it was more than a motorcycle. It was untouchable. But a legend doesn't end when the model years change. Its impact carries forward. The CRF450X proved something vital about Honda, that the company wasn't just building reliable machines, it was capable of outright dominance in the world of enduro. Baja victories had already etched its name in the record books, but its influence went far beyond the finish line. Other models followed in its footsteps: the CRF-RX for competition, the CRF-L for street-legal adventure. Even smaller displacement bikes borrowed the same philosophy: simple, rugged, unbreakable. Each of them carried a piece of the 450X spirit. And for riders, the message was clear. Here was a motorcycle that set the tone for a generation. It redefined what a four-stroke enduro could be. Tough, versatile, relentless. A machine that inspired confidence, no matter how far the trail stretched. That's why it's remembered today as more than just another dirt bike. In the 21st century, it stands as one of the true icons of off-road. The bike that bridged racing glory with everyday culture. Because from the deserts of Baja to the backcountry trails of America and beyond, the CRF450X left a mark that time can't erase. Its story isn't just about trophies, it's about a legacy, a spirit that continues to echo every time a rider points a Honda into the wilderness. Honda's CRF450X, born a humble enduro, rose into an off-road monument. A bike that didn't just finish the race, it defined it. Baja proved the mettle. Years on the desert proved the soul. But what about you? Does this Baja legend still stir something inside? Your dream trail partner? The one you'd trust 100 miles from nowhere? Or is it a memory from another time? An icon we salute as we ride something newer, lighter, sharper? Tell us. Your stories matter. First rides, long hauls, desert dust that never quite washed out. Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this journey hit the mark, tap like to help the channel grow. And subscribe so you won't miss the next road we take, back through the machines that shaped our roads, our rides, and our lives.